Are New Year resolutions trauma-based? Or are they just people trying to hide the fact that they cannot actually stick to their word and do what they said they would do? This is not therapy. This is not judgment. This is truth.
Okay.
So I'm thinking back from childhood and, you know, probably late primary school, secondary school, during New Year's, when New Year's are coming, we are all thinking, we need to do New Year resolutions.
Yeah.
And I remember just, you know, putting down those New Year resolutions, and it used to be very, very serious. And even, you know, generally during New Year's, you see a lot of crews. Some of them are really serious. Some of them are crews. People saying, you know what, this new year, new life. New year, new life. People saying this new year, I am not going to take any rubbish. You know, husbands are saying it to their wives. Wives are saying it to their husbands. A lot of resolutions are going on. And I'm here thinking, I don't know if you had such memories.
You know, honestly, I don't think there's anyone that don't have such memories. Sometimes you actually don't pay attention to those things. When the year is coming to an end, mostly people start their New Year resolution sometimes after the Christmas season.
Really?
For some persons, on 25th, in fact, they're just engrossed into the festive celebration, enjoying their food and everything, the holiday itself. But sometimes from 27th, it looks like it's dawned on people that something is about to happen.
Change.
Especially when some persons who go to church, and maybe immediately after the Christmas, the pastor announced, remember that a few days time is our crossover night. Some persons will be like, crossover, that means it's a new year. Now some persons, some even people goes ahead, people under addiction. Some of them be like, okay, from next year, I think no more smoking,
drinking,
no more. Even this girlfriend, I'm gonna be kicking her out before 1st of January.
That's very right. Yes, that's very right. Even like when it comes to relationships, I think a lot of people have been in it, they've endured, and when New Year is coming, they feel like, no, this is actually the right time to, you know, do a really a brand new change. And I'm here thinking, you know, it's really a cause for concern. Are New Year resolutions trauma-based? Or are they just people trying to hide the fact that they cannot actually stick to their word and do what they said they would do? So, but before we get into that, guys, let me introduce my guest. She is one amazing human being. She's my friend, she's my colleague. She is a mental health and addiction therapist, and her name is Joy Eneh-Oji. I think that she's really the best person to be here because she's an addiction therapist. I think that drafting New Year resolutions are an addiction for some people. I would say that. What would you say?
Well, I think because let me not actually call it an addiction at that point.
Okay.
I call it sometimes a societal expectation. Everyone is doing it. Yes, at this moment, it's not an addiction. It's more like a habit.
Okay.
Yes, at that point, we call it a habit because everyone is doing it. So, because it's more like when you talk about habit, it's unconscious and conscious behavior at the same time.
Yes.
So, at this time, the brain is telling you you need to do some things. And some persons, they begin to like, I'm going to work on addiction. Most cases is mostly the negative part of life that people are actually working on. Yes. Yes, mostly is the negative aspect of people's behaviors and attitude that they're actually writing resolution on. Because that resolution is more like, I don't want to continue smoking.
Yes.
There's, I didn't pray as I ought to this last year.
Yes.
I think I have to start praying 2 hours. They start setting unrealistic goals.
Yes.
So some persons begin to be like, this guy has actually messed me up.
Yes.
From first, I'm going to send him a message.
Yes.
You didn't send the message today, but it's unfair. You're going to send the message. So a whole lot of things.
Very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. And now, looking at it and thinking about it, I'm having, you know, you just said this. They know I'm supposed to have sent this message.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have called this person out on their bullshit. But no, let me wait until first so that this is actually the appropriate time to do it. Now, Do you think that when people don't write down those resolutions when first is coming or 1st January is approaching, and people don't write down those resolutions, or they don't think about it, or they don't make that decision that, on first, no more rubbish, do you think that it affects the way they follow up on those decisions? Let's start from there. When they don't. So because they don't, they're like, it's not worth it yet. So it has to be on that first. Do you think it affects the way they actually pursue those goals? Like if someone says, from 1st January, I'm going to start reading. In fact, I'm reading 2 pages of Atomic Habits on 1st January. And so do you think that when they don't write it down, it affects if whether or not they actually follow up on that?
In a way, actually.
Okay.
Because so many persons has actually believed that you must write down. And some persons, they connect that psychologically, even in the faith section, when they would tell you that you have to write it down. So if it's a habit, they write it down. And they believe that if it's written down, some persons have to go and get a journal. Like when you said the topic yesterday, I was laughing actually, because someone very close to me just walked into the room. I was like, auntie, I just want to show you something. And I said, what's going on? I said, I just got my 2026 diary. And I was like, hey, wow. I said, what is it for? I started noting my resolution. I said, that's the topic.
Interesting.
You see? So this diary or the journal you just got is for you to write. I was like, okay, what are the things that you want to stop? And she looked at me and said, when you have an auntie that is an addiction therapist, you have to be very careful. Because if I tell you now, you tell me I need to overcome them. So, but I don't want to like stress working on it now until 1st January. Just like you said.
Yes.
So if they don't write it down, to them, there's nothing to pursue, because it's more like if you don't have a plan, what do you actually follow? So if they don't write it down, it's more like that is not serious.
Yes.
So I would still say that it has more a little to also affect the way they follow up that, because there's nothing actually they're actually looking at. Yes.
So, but what is more important? I'm thinking actually what is more important, because, even for me, looking back, you write New Year resolutions on 2026 diary. 1st January, you have New Year resolutions on the first page, 1st January. And then you notice that, and you tell yourself, every day, I'm going to come back and write down my goals, write down what I have achieved. And then you notice that after 1st January, the next time you're writing in the diary, it's like 17th of January. That's that's when you're remembering that you actually have a 2026 diary. So what is more important? Writing it down or actually making a decision that this is what I need to do? What is actually more important than writing down these resolutions?
Well, I think that the decision aspect is not even something that you can actually take for granted when it comes to making New Year resolution. I always tell people that if you can actually structure your life, that every 1st of the month, you have to have something new to do. Because the part we call New Year resolution that we are talking about, 1st January, somebody actually came together to put up that January as a day to celebrate. So you can actually have a personal life telling yourself every 1st of the month, I have to adjust and do something better. So it's supposed to be a personal decision. So the most important thing about this is the decision making, because it's the decision that moves life.
Yes.
So if you've made a decision, okay, let's put it this way. If you're traveling and you forgot the diary, what happens? Okay, let's ask that. What happens to the resolution that you get? Are you telling me that you must update? So if you don't
make that, it has to be your mind
it's supposed to follow you, because anywhere you are, you're taught to tell yourself, I didn't put up this. Just like to me, that's left from the location. Okay, let me just go and have some rest.
Yes.
And I came in, I realized that most of my journals are not with me. So okay, what am I going to be useless for that period?
No,
but everything documented is in me.
Yes.
So even if I don't document, there should be something guiding my thoughts, guiding my life.
Yes.
So I should tell myself, after documenting, can I register this in my mind?
In my mind.
So even when you are sleeping at night, you can actually ask yourself, which of these did I achieve today? So the most important thing about these two is that the decision making cannot even be overemphasized. It's the number one thing to do. Because when you make a decision, the mind follows the decision. And you've made that decision, it's hard for people to change it for you.
Yes.
Than just writing, like, because the one I wrote this year, I can't find, I don't know where it is.
Okay, sis. Okay, well, me too, guys, we're all in this together, so okay, I totally agree, like it really has to be in the mind first, you know. Now that brings me to looking at this from both a trauma point of view and a character flaw point of view. So are people writing resolutions because it is a character flaw? Are they writing resolutions because people have criticized them so much, because they are not confident in themselves enough? For example, a girl who has been in a toxic relationship and is thinking at this point, no, this bullshit is too much. For example, a girl who has been in a toxic relationship and she's thinking at this point, no, this bullshit is too much, I need to cut it off. Is she writing this resolution because, I really need to prove to myself that I can do this? Or, you know, is she writing it because she has been traumatized from all of these things? So do people write resolutions based off of trauma, based off of where they are coming from? Or are they writing resolutions because I need to do something different about my life and I need to commit to it? So sometimes it looks like validation. You know, it looks like we are trying to validate yourself. It looks like performance, like ritual. For a lot of us, it has become ritual. 1st January, we must write resolution. So it's like a ritual thing. We need to perform. If you are not performing, that means you have not really. So the question here is, why do people write resolutions? Do they want to be validated by the fact that I also wrote resolutions? Are they hiding from something? Are they running away from something that they really need to commit to, but they don't have the capacity to commit? Because I know that there are people who have written one resolution 3 years, 4 years later, they are still writing the same resolution.
It's actually related, because it's more like that validation. Because if you have written something the year 2024, and okay, let's just use something very simple. Someone that is under drug addiction, or someone that, just like you use the illustration of someone that has had heartbreak from a relationship. Oh, this person, maybe the guy in the relationship has been the one telling her, I don't think you are lazy. And okay, there's every time you're just all around me, personality issue. So all around me, can't you actually find something to do? I think that's why you are suspecting me. Maybe your issue, two of them has been having issue. And over time, sometimes when the guy walks out, she'll be like, why can't I actually move ahead with my goals? Must I actually get attached to this person? And at the end, the guy detached. So at this stage, some of them, it's more like validation.
Yes.
Because some of them, towards the end of the year, I'm going to prove to that guy. Do you even know that some persons have to, some of them are not active on social handles. They have to become, some of the ones they experience heartbreak, they activate their social handles. The thing is that I need to look good. I need to just show him. So the next day, they become CEO of something. So just to prove, it's more like a validation. So New Year resolution, many people are actually writing under the hidden part of experiences. Pain. So some of them are going through like toxicity.
Yes.
Like you talk about a woman who wants to, like, I want to start up something new from the 1st January, and this person can't actually do it.
Yes.
The problem is that there's sometimes is that self-critics, like that is, I can't actually, I'm no longer this person.
Yes.
But from next year I'll be better.
I will be this
so
person.
If you have to look at it, it's more like it's even 80% trauma related.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's almost 90%. Because if you look at it that way, somebody who didn't achieve this year own, and you are moving it to the next, you actually is more like a validation.
Yes.
So, but sometimes I can actually call it character flaws, because at this stage, someone is writing from pain.
Yes.
Is writing from experience that has become part of them. And the worst thing, that's why we talk about awareness. One thing about this trauma is that some people exhibiting it don't actually know that is trauma.
Yes.
They behave that way thinking this is the normal way.
thing.
Just like you call it now a ritual.
Yes.
So 1st January, you have to work on something. So even if you don't know what to work on, just find out something to just work on. So the answer is actually that it's related to traumatic experiences of the past. It is.
Beautiful. I love the way that you have explained it. If you're watching this is the time for you to review yourself. This is the time for you to look at yourself. Like, why am I writing this is 2nd of January. If you're watching this is 2nd of January. So you need to review yourself. These resolutions that I've written, why am I writing them? You need to analyze each resolution. This particular one, is it from a place of pain? Is it from a place of anger? Am I looking to be validated by someone? Have I been so criticized that I don't believe in myself any longer? That I now need to write down these resolutions to make sure that, you know what, I can do it. Can you actually do it? Is the question. And that brings me to the next conversation. Because, I'm thinking, is constantly breaking promises to yourself a character flaw? I agree with you that it is 80 to 90% trauma related, when you look deeply at it. But when you constantly break this promise, can it then result to a character flaw? So they say you've broken the promise. You said you were not going to call that guy again because you want to make sure that you are worth it. We have seen or we have heard men are the chasers. Why is he not the one chasing me? So you decided, I'm not going to call him again. But then 1st January, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you call him and you say, come and eat rice now. And then it starts from there. The cycle begins again. Or you decide, you know what, I'm going to read a book every day in this January, even if it's for 30 minutes, and you're not doing that. When you constantly break promises to yourself, does it then result to a character flaw? Even if it came from trauma, does it then become a reason for concern? Like, I need to look deeply into myself, or maybe I'm not all that, or maybe I need to, there is something I need to work on that I'm not working on. I'm instead focusing on resolution.
Yeah, it is, because if you keep doing something negative, automatically be producing negative results.
Of course.
So if you have to talk about, okay, you set out something for the year and you're not able to do it, and over time this cycle continues. So sometimes, even when we said that this is unresolved trauma, even if it's unresolved trauma and this thing is repeating itself, sometimes it's even caused to. I had a child actually who boldly walked onto the parents and was like, okay, every time I'll write my goals, academic goals, and I'll come back from school, Daddy, I don't actually realize this. So, and I wanted to take me to a therapist. That's the child. She's 11.
Wow.
And she said, I have to examine myself. And the mom and the dad were just looking at her. Who taught you this?
A Nigerian child?
Yes, I was shocked.
Wow.
I looked at them and said, who taught you this? He said, yes, both of you were seated here and you guys are watching news. And they're just talking about some issues. And I'm reading, some of the headlines that is moving and why the news is on. Yes. She just saw therapies, this. And she said, if I have to keep failing myself, Daddy, Mommy, this is a character flaw now.
There is
and I think I need to examine myself. So what the lady did is just to call me and said, I hand over to you. Wow. She demanded for it.
Wow.
And by the time she seated, I said, why do you think you don't achieve the set of goals? He said, I don't know whether, because the goals are not set by me, it's imposed by my parents. So it's imposed by my parents.
I love that girl.
Did you see?
Yes.
So okay, let's examine the root cause. And she said, I think the reason why I'm not realizing this, because this is not set by me. It is set by societal expectations.
Yes.
So some persons are setting this thing. You understand?
Yes.
So you're setting this thing based on expectations. People around you, even competition.
Yes.
I don't be getting me.
Yes.
Social media is another kingdom.
Yeah.
So like many people are setting up. I'm gonna be doing like 17 courses before January. Is it doing the course or implementing even one?
Yeah.
Okay, now you look at that. Let's use that child. So many people are setting what do you call it? Writing out what they want to do because parents said. You even see some parents even undoing our children when they walk in and said, why are you telling me you're going to be studying this subject for 20 minutes?
Yes.
My darling, your daddy during his day studied for 5 hours. So you have to extend it for an hour. You didn't check the study lifestyle of this child. So you didn't even check whether this person have a learning difficulty. You are not even interested in it. So they impose it. Okay, let's bring it to adults as well. The same way adults are having these character flaws because they are setting goals, they call it unrealistic goals, based on expectations, based on between now and the first quarter, I should be the best.
Yes.
And without understanding the best starts from the little steps.
Yes.
So they don't want to start with the little step. So it's actually character flaws when you keep on failing
yourself,
especially
breaking
yourself.
your promises. Yeah. My goodness, that is just so deep. That is too deep. I love it. So now how can we help people who, as at now, in your diary, you know that you have New Year resolutions? And in fact, I'm sure there is one that you're like, you were supposed to start this. You were supposed to have been doing even this 2nd January watching us, but you're not doing it. You know yourself, you and I, we know ourselves. So what do we tell that person who is watching right now and you've made all these resolutions? We've ascertained that you need to look at the reason you have actually made this resolution. Where is it coming from? Trauma. We've ascertained that it's a character flaw when you keep breaking these promises. Yeah. So what do we tell anybody who is watching right now who have made resolutions, whether they have written it, whether they've not written it? Where should they start from? What is the most important thing? How can you actually achieve your resolutions?
Okay, just like we've mentioned earlier, you start by just taking a decision. Like when you just finish listening to us now, you tell yourself, let me take a decision to do what I've not done this year. It first starts with decision. So maybe if you take a decision to do something different, that's number one. Number two thing is that whether it's coming from trauma or is that become an addiction, a character issue. Now tell yourself, instead of me trying to set up 20 things to achieve January, so can I start by just achieving just one? So, because if you have to set out New Year resolution, the most important way for you to achieve it is to place goal setting on it.
Yes.
And the goal must be very smart.
Yes.
You have to be very specific.
And realistic.
And realistic in the sense that some persons that want to lose weight, yes, you start by, I won't be taking Pepsi, you know, the soda. You start by it and just telling yourself that between now and end of first quarter, I'm done with 30 kg. It is not a realistic goal. And that is the reason why you will fail yourself again.
Yes.
So what do you start with? Begin to start with, let me start by 20 minutes taking a walk daily. So I'll be taking a walk daily. I could be eating earlier than eating late. You continue with the food you are eating, but you're not eating earlier. So it's so realistic and it's so easy to do.
Yes.
So by the time you're doing that, you cannot add, okay, I'm going to be removing the soda, I'm going to be removing the soft drink. Don't start them just like that.
Yes.
So someone who wants to start up, I want to start up some courses. I think that's what is happening everywhere. Let me get soft skills.
Digital
so
skills.
If you want to do something, stay at one first.
Stay at
because
one.
jack of all trade, you end up mastering none. So if you pick one, just stay on it for the whole of the January and get it done.
Yes.
Implement it first, because we have a whole lot of some people like me actually that have done some online courses that you didn't remember where you kept it. You didn't even implement. I even paid for it actually.
Yes.
So first of all, start by, okay, let me implement number one first. Or another thing, just like you just mentioned, why? Your why is very important.
Very important.
So why am I actually going for this virtual assistant course? Is it because I heard that everything is now remote job? I don't even know whether you can carry it. Is that why? Because if you can be able to break down your why, you will notice that you solve the issue of not realizing the set out goals.
Yes.
So number one is the decision to make the goal smart. Make sure it's very realistic. Break it down to the tiniest. Another one is that if you want to ask yourself, who do I want to become by end of 2026? So ask yourself, like, is a see the vision ahead.
Yes.
So if I want to become a mental health therapist, some of you watching us now want to become one.
Yes.
So if you want to become a mental health therapist, don't just start going to your Facebook and be posting mental health quotes that you don't even understand what it is.
Yes.
So what do? You begin to set out plans. The plan will be every day I will just read a book on mental health just for like 15 minutes.
Beautiful.
Just for like 15 minutes.
Beautiful.
So as you're doing that, before the end of January, you have already gathered some things.
Yes.
So you now sign in for a course on that mental health. So you begin to do it small. Not, I want to become a mental health expert by end of the year, and I should be counseling and be making money. Two of them will not work at the same time, because it's in the practice that you gain experience, and it's in the experience you can be able to help a client.
Yes. Oh, sis, thank you so much. Guys, we are going to end this episode. I'm really pumped. I'm pumped to start my year, to be very, very honest. But I'm just going to add one last thing: accountability partner.
Yep.
I think that this is very, very important. If you're watching us right now and you have taken note of everything she has said, and by the way, go to therapy, guys. I don't know, 11-year-old girl said, Mom, I need to go to therapy and understand the reason I have not been achieving all my set out goals. Go to therapy, strategize, get a balance. Where am I headed to? Why am I doing this thing over and over? Am I seeking validation and all that? And then lastly, get an accountability partner. I think that this is very, very important. If you can get somebody, a friend, or even a group of people who are looking towards working on the same thing, it shouldn't be a big group, just a small group of people, or your friend. Hey, let's do no soda for 1 month. 1 month, you're going to 2 months, and all of that. Thank you so much for watching Trauma or Bad Character. So sis, lastly, let's ask the big question. Do you think that setting New Year resolutions is trauma or bad character? Please show the camera what your answer is. Trauma, okay. I'm not going to show you my own answer. So for me, trauma or bad character, with my full chest, you have bad character, go and change. Go and change. Okay, so before you write that New Year resolution, ask yourself, am I healing or am I hiding? Thank you for watching Trauma or Bad Character. See you in the next episode. Bye.